Hey everybody, it's obviously John the Other. Okay, so, 12 or so hours has passed, and I've actually gone and watched Paul's attack video against me. Although I didn't watch all 23 minutes, I only got through like 15 minutes of it. Now the first thing I'm going to say is, I don't know if Paul actually believes what he's saying, if he's, misremembering it because the way he's telling it fits better with his political narrative, and, we all want to believe our own point of view, or if he's just straight up lying. And I honestly don't know which is the case. I won't pretend that at this point I know Paul well enough to answer that question. So here is just my version of the story. Yes, I do like to pick fights. I am a scrapper. Paul is correct in that, and I am quite good at it. However, my arguments within AVFM, which did happen, were not about personality. They were about adherence to the facts. They were about not being sloppy, not telling obvious lies as an organization. And each of those things, it wasn't just I wanted to get in a fight. I mean, there's lots of people outside AVFM for me to pick verbal arguments with. I was really concerned with the sloppiness, the intellectual laziness, and the growing culture of echo chamber that an organization that insulates itself from criticism can fall prey to. Now, a few factual rebuttals. Apparently I white knighted on behalf of Diana on AVFM's forum. Well, at the time, Diana was the administrator of the forum. The person who I was apparently protecting her from was a moderator who worked for her. How do you imagine she needed my protection there? What I'd actually done is respond to something that she'd said, that they were talking about MGTOW and marriage being compatible, something that I thought was absurd and I should address. It wasn't about personalities or retributive rhetoric against any person. The person I actually was responding to was Grumpy Old Man, who I actually get along with quite well when we're not arguing over points of MGTOW, but it's no personal animosity. Number two, Paul telling me that I was not to be invited to the AVFM conference because I was going to embarrass the organization is false. It's just not true. What they did is create the roster of speakers without talking to me. When I found out that they had excluded me, I went to them and said, hey, can I be a speaker? And they said, oh yeah, of course. And then they just quietly removed me again. There was no, we're afraid of what you're going to say, John. The conversation apparently between Paul and me about us role-playing how to address a difficult reporter's question about the supposedly embarrassing nature of community organized compassion and kindness, or C.O.C.K, that did in fact happen, and I didn't have a very good answer at the time simply because it was off the cuff. I realized that I was trying to answer the question respectfully because it was Paul who was asking me when the question was on its face so absurd. What am I going to tell my kid is the name of your organization? The real answer is, why am I responsible for raising your kid? It's called C.O.C.K. Get over it. However, I wasn't going to go to the conference to embarrass AVFM. Why would I do that? I worked so hard to help build them up. Finally, the R. Todd Kelly thing. Paul, R. Todd Kelly wrote an article about me, about Paul, about A Voice for Men, called Paul a rock star, correctly, I believe, called Paul a rock star, and then called me, sort of the next guy, called me a superstar. When I read that, it scared the shit out of me. I didn't want to be a superstar. I didn't want to be the leader of an organization. I don't want to be responsible for people. I used to be a software executive. That was a fucking nightmare. However, R. Todd Kelly talked about Paul as if he was, on his way out the door in terms of his position at AVFM and possibly shuffling off this mortal coil. Both Diana and I thought that was absurd. And I certainly wasn't trying to make a takeover play for AVFM. Holy shit, what a nightmare that would be. The last thing is the discussion about whether I could be kept on usefully at AVFM despite my many personality flaws. I tried to quit at least twice in the last year, probably more times than twice, but twice that I recall very clearly, saying to Paul, listen, I don't understand the new way the organization works. It's getting bigger. It's getting more politically correct. I don't think I fit in. each time I tried to quit, my attempt to quit was thwarted. I mean, they couldn't have stopped me if I just said, fuck you, I quit, but they talked me out of quitting. Talked me into staying, and on one occasion actually talked me into aiming my criticism inward at A Voice for Men, despite my protest that I thought this was a bad idea. So, you know, I don't know if Paul believes all that he has said or not, but it certainly does not correspond to my memory, and... you know, Diana Davison, my puppet master. Well, I believe they actually tried to get Diana Davison to be my puppet master at one point, and she had a little bit of a temper tantrum when they did that. In fact, quite rightly lost her rag with them. But that's really not my story to tell. And I'm going to keep this under 6 minutes, which we are at just about now. Thanks very much for watching, and have a great day.